Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. If you're just now joining us, this is the SC2L. I'm in control. He's day 9. And the first match is completed. Paranoid did fall to Crank, which gives Axiom the 1-0 score. But that brings us to our second match. Sean, introduce these players, please.
Spawning up in the top right-hand corner, allegedly with a 100% win rate against his opponent, it is none other than Hart. Clap, 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 clap.
Win.
And down in the bottom left-hand corner, reigning as the #1 player in WCS Canada and #1 player in WCS North America. Considered one of the best foreign Zergs, it is Acer's Scarlet. And, I really feel like there's two ways to play the ZVT matchup nowadays, Jeff.
Sure.
One, well, actually, let's go with 3, okay? Let's do it. The first one is the straight-up all-in style. Just trying to kill your opponent early on, because most Terrans don't even really have much of anything other than Hellions for the first 10 minutes. Second way is big defense, relying on Mutalisks to try to snipe off medevacs. But I'm really excited about the third thing that we've been seeing a lot of, which is just huge ground attacking that occurs right before the Biomine player begins pushing out.
And you're referring to like Roach, Ling, Baneling, right?
Yeah, or just Ling, Baneling, just something that's not layer tech based.
Yeah, I'm liking it too. I almost feel like, for a while there, Zergs felt like that was kind of their crutch, like they had to do. I know that life has kind of breathed new, it's unavoidable to say at this point, but just new life into the ZVT matchup with making lots of Lings. And of course, he'll do like a Ling Baneling attack as well. That's been around for a while. I feel like Violet was one of the first advocates of that as well.
Definitely.
But Roach Baneling became the, once they all saw Innovation kind of trip up on that to Soul Key, it was like, oh, okay, well, that's what I have to do, ZVT. So we saw a lot of it. Terran's got a little bit better at handling it, and now there's a mixture that's happening, to your point, like you said, the 3 different styles predominantly. And I feel like this matchup has, again, solidified itself as perhaps the most exciting and to me, one of the most fun to watch.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to how Hart gets to that biomining phase. Because right now, Hart's throwing down the early expansion, which means that almost immediately it's going to have to be a refinery follow-up. But that's kind of an interesting choice from Hart, going for the second supply depot before the refinery.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be a double refinery now in order to catch that up in time. But I'm not so sure I like double refinery in this position. Yep, there's the second refinery coming up. That's like too much gas. Hart's also saying, I'm not going to go triple CC. I'm going to tech and attack.
Doesn't he kind of have to do the double refinery after the 1 racks expand, though, because there's kind of a gasless opening? He wants to make up the difference? Or do you do think it'll be like a sustained 2 attack or 2 base attack type thing?
Yeah, well, I definitely agree with your point. Like, you got to get the 2 gas up just to be able to catch up with 1 racks expand.
Yeah.
You can go 1 racks, gas on 15, then expand, and then get away with 1 geyser, but if you build a command center first, you got to get those 2. But it's just a bad way to play if you go double gas, get 100 gas, and then pull guys off.
Okay.
Terran is not Zerg, and I don't have a better argument than that.
I hear
so
you.
Hart should absolutely be getting a lot of add-ons, but already look at the amount of marine aggression coming up. This is so unusual.
Yeah, it really is. And I feel like that's almost the MO of Hart. Hart likes to play on the fringe, just do things a little bit differently. I find it more in the TVP-TVT matchup, but he'll certainly do it in the TVZ as well. He's already hunted 1 Overlord. He's moving in just now. With this SCV, the potential for a bunker is there. Of course, that's I feel like that's more of a threatened potential as opposed to a real one, because, again, there's queens out, there's going to be lings. It feels like Hart's just poking and prodding, trying to manipulate the use of the larva.
Yeah, that's so smart. I can't agree more, Jeff. I agree like ×5.
Nice.
Like, the very often, what phase 1 of Terran play is absolutely no anything. Just defending, building the command center, and getting that factory up. And then, like, phase 2 is Hellion contain, Hellion contain. So what Zergs are used to is just defending, or actually, I shouldn't say defending. They're used to just cutting every corner imaginable until those Hellions show up. And those Marines are designed to slice down the Zergs that are getting a little bit too greedy. And we already see that, wow, Scarlet's going for a layer. No third base. That's like hyper-fast layer.
It's a very fast layer, and it's a low econ layer, to your point, too, Sean. Like, this is just a 2-hatch opening, which I feel like is something that was a part of the old meta when Terrans were opening up with much more aggressive Hellions, and you were really worried about them running in. But this is a fairly narrow choke at the natural. So I feel like we're kind of witnessing 2 very much so familiar players kind of testing a couple things out with each other, because Hart moving out with those Marines, that is unusual. Like you said, like a lot of times you're going to cut corners to get to those Hellions, but it's a big risk to move out with your low count Marines that are supposed to be in the bunker. If Scarlet was just rolling the dice and going for like a Ling all-in, that would have been super dicey. But of course, Hart knows that Scarlet doesn't predominantly do that.
Wow, look at this. We're going to treat to see the double Hellion, or I should say the double factory Blue Flame play. Quite uncommon. And immediately, Hart's going to know what's up. I mean, there's no third. That's all the information he needs. So he can immediately begin building an armory for a Thor, if he gets it, which I assume he does. Very often you'll see a player who just neglects to do that. Yep, there's the scan, sees the Spire, so it's almost certainly going to be an armory getting thrown down for a Thor. Hellions...
Oh, go ahead, sorry.
Oh, yeah, Hellions busting in are still going to be scary.
Yeah, they're always scary, man. That third base going down late like this should be okay. If there was any kind of drone count there, of course, they would be terrified at the fact that there are this many Blue Flame Hellions coming their way, because there's just no way to SimCity out of that. Scarlet has some Lings here. She's up to 4 Queens, one of which is in that main base, and here come the Hellions. She can try to make a stand here, but this is not the place to do it. The Hellions are going to give chase.
Oh my god, and Scarlet was inches away from seeing the Blue Flame Hellions, but didn't quite get to see it in time. Some really nice control, dancing forward and backward.
She got lined up a little bit there.
Dude, those Queens are lining up. More Hellions starting to flood the front, and it looks like the Mutalisks are just barely not out. Zergling's trying to get us around, but oh my god, Jeff, this is about to get violent.
Yeah, the whole natural is now exposed. The Queen's doing what they can to dink and donk here, but with the Lings cleaned up, the Hellions just kind of ignore them at this point in time, and all the drones are going down. One Queen on the verge of death, I believe. Nope, there's the transfusion. They're going to make their way into the main base now and try to get more damage in.
Oh god, I mean, this is going to have to be a miracle recovery because of the fact that there's Heart of the Swarm introduced the Widowmine unit. Hart says, you know what, I don't think I even really need to get up any Thors, any sort of big anti-air. The mines are going to be more than enough. So we see a third command center as the answer for Hart, slowly adding on barracks, the answer for Hart, who's just doing a magnificent job pulling all these pieces together. But what does Scarlet do now? 21 drones.
Yeah, she was down to like 18, dude. She lost a good 28 drones, which is just disgusting. But I want to kind of go off a point you just made, which is really cool, actually. This Blue Flame Hellion opening used to get rocked by a 2-hatch Muta, basically. But you bring up a really good point where, with such easy access to such great numbers of Widow Mines, I feel like these Mutas, they're done harassing before they've even harassed. Like, once they already hear and see the Widow Mines, they're kind of like, well, what can I do? Where do I go? And it's not looking that great.
Well, at the same time, what does Terran normally have? Terran normally has 5 barracks with 4 reactor add-ons. I mean, getting mines 3 at a time, that's fantastic. Sure. You want that as a support to your huge number of Marines. So suddenly we're going to see Hart start to slowly fall behind and slowly even out. Hart is a lot of catching up to do. I mean, only 14 Marines. Scarlet's actually going to be able to power all the way up to 70 drones, completely uninhibited. And the Mutalisks are already so far across map that they can begin denying drops pretty quickly, actually.
Okay, we'll have to see if it plays out the way you say, because that's what Scarlet does need. If she can occupy the attention of Hart for that long, she'll be back in this game. But make no mistake about it now, she's trailing. 1-1 upgrades coming in for the bio units of the Terran player. I feel like this is going to be a problem for Scarlet. You'll notice that just now 2 evolution chambers are going down, which means that
that's the worst.
Potentially she's going to start her 1-1 as 1-1 finishes for the Terran, and you never want to be in that position.
Oh no, mine! Ouch! Makes a very juicy connection with those Mutalisks at the backside, but of course Scarlet knows exactly how these mines work. Has just enough to one-shot them, moves in, darts right back out again, and suddenly it's going to be time for Hart to begin making the move out. Drone count up to 54 versus 53. There's not a terribly large number of Mutalisks, but there's also not a terribly large number of Marines either. So
no, yeah, you were talking about that, and that's definitely living to be true. I mean, Hart only using just the 3 barracks at first. Of course, now Hart has bolstered those numbers. I think we're up to, well, it looks like 7, which is a lot of barracks, and with 3 base economy, he can do that. I think one of the byproducts, too, Sean, of knowing that this is basically Scarlet's threat here, is these Mutalisks, is that this 3rd base is landed very, very easily, very safely, and it's, I mean, just now stacked defenses are going down, so I feel like Hart's getting a pretty quick 3rd here.
Oh, God, and Hart sprinted up to a huge number of barracks. Went from basically 3 without add-ons to 7 with add-ons in a very swift amount of time. And we see that medevac drop all the way at the far bottom left beginning to move in. Hart has a great vision lockdown, both the right and left watchtowers, and here comes the drop.
Yep, it's going to land in the back of that main base. So far, it is exposed. Just one queen standing sentry. Banelings are waddling forward. They just now got speed. And Scarlet's got to be careful because individual Mutalisks are kind of trailing in here, taking some damage. Banelings are going to come in, and I guess this will just be a pickup. Well,
whoops.
Technically I was right. Mutalisk will chase down that medevac, but the damage was done, to be honest with you, Sean. They got a lot of, a couple of Mutalisk kills, but also the drones themselves.
Hart moving around to the top side to do another attack. This is the exact move that every Terran wants to be pulling off with Biomine. Hitting multiple places and multiple angles. I mean, Hart looking so good. I mean, Scarlet plays extremely stably, but, yeah. I mean, Hart just picked Scarlet apart early on. There's the mines burrowing, and it looks like the Banelings don't quite connect. Scarlet's barely able to pick off some of these mines, but, I mean, the Marine numbers are still too damn high.
Good splits, but there's no lings. Like, Banelings by themselves can't get the job done. And, of course, Mutalisks do not want to be fighting. They want to be cleaning. Those are not I don't know. They're not like direct combat units. They're more like, hey, everybody else took care of the business. We're going to clean this act up now. But Hart is exactly as Sean said, where he wants to be. He's out on the map. He's dropping and just harassing. He just closed out a 4th base. Scarlet, of course, is going to reattempt that base. Perhaps in the 6 o'clock or maybe just the same location. Both are very hard to hold on this map, actually.
So this is just all things Frowntown for Scarlet. Trying to pull it together, but just declining on expansion numbers. The creep slowly withdrawing, can't pull that together. Look at this. Hart hitting on 2 fronts at once, swinging all the way around the back and locking down the center. And we see that Scarlet just can't even manage this amount of aggression.
Oh, the Widow Mines.
Widow Mines.
Getting led into it. No. And, well, she avoids one. Gets both of them out of action, so that's, I guess, an attempt to turn that frown upside down. But like you said, here comes Hart, already taking position in the middle of the map. Hart knows there's no 4th base, so he knows that he's on equal basis with Scarlet. Scarlet's trying to get us around here. These Marines, though, are being split so beautifully well. Hart seems to be in full control of this game.
Oh, my God. Oh, the mines. Oh, my God. Scarlet is going to be able to pick off all the front line of mines with these Mutalisks, but...
At what cost, Sean?
At what cost, Jeffrey?
More mines going down. There's the GG. Scarlet does tap out. Hart, with a beautiful TVZ, is able to capitalize on that Blue Flame Hellion opening. I mean, let's be honest. Scarlet was down to 18 drones. She didn't stand much of a chance.
Yeah, but you got to give credit for Hart. He's doing so much more than just getting the Blue Flame Hellions in and killing a bunch of stuff. I mean, getting the Blue Flame Hellions in, knowing what his weak point is, Mutalisks, and then answering with mines and macro. Looks defensive. Abandoning Marine production, no problem. He's going to flood 7 barracks all of a sudden, and you'll know how late he took the geysers at his 3rd base. He got his geysers so early on his first 2 that he had all the gas he needed to get up the infrastructure he needed. And as a result, he was able to just go pure 4 gas, flood with Marine mine medevac, and just overwhelm Scarlet with just great positioning. It
was a great overall game, but I also want to give a nod to Hart's decision for that build on this map, to be honest with you. Like, double Blue Flame, or excuse me, 1 reactor, 1 tech lab, of course, but 2 factory Blue Flame Hellion is not necessarily good on every map. If you can get 3 bases, like let's say Akalon Waste, where you knock down the rocks, and you have 1 kind of defensible area where you can put a Spinecrawler and multiple queens, this build's not that great unless it catches them completely off guard. But on a map like this, where the 3rd is so exposed and the natural is fairly approachable, we can see that Scarlet was going to have severe problems with this build almost no matter what. But that does mean it's going to be 2-0 for Team Axiom. Acer falls 0-2. That means they need some wins, and they need it in a big way. It's going to be Bly versus Grubby. Day 9, give me a prediction before we go to commercial break. Who do you think takes this one?
I do think I'm leaning a little more towards Bly on this one. I think that Grubby, overall, stronger as a player, but I think Bly's unpredictability is just so critical in these sorts of matchups. I think that he's going to be coming out with something nuts that'll take Grubby down.
Okay, well, we'll have to see if Sean is correct, because Team Acer needs it. They're down 0-2, like I said. So we're going to do a quick commercial break, ladies and gentlemen. When we come back, it'll be Bly versus Grubby in his EVP. We'll see you soon.